Paranya has emphasized the need for urgent reforms and a renewed focus on member satisfaction within the cooperatives sector. Now, during a press briefing with the Kenya National Police DT Sacco, CSO Paranya emphasized that the crucial role that SACCOs play in driving economic development. He noted that SACCOs have successfully mobilized 1.2 trillion shillings in savings, disbursed 1 billion shillings in loans, and amassed an asset base of 1.7 billion shillings. The CS further stressed the importance of a strong corporate governance and announced the government's commitment to introducing a new cooperatives bill to address fraud cases.
Not all SACCOs have been run the way you have run yours. There are several challenges, especially in the small ones. But worse off, cooperatives, leave alone SACCOs, but now cooperatives that are in agriculture, they are the worst run. The SACCOs, the regulations is there, but of course we need to improve. Of course, when I came to the office, this is my 4th week, I've realized gaps, especially in legislation. And next week, on Wednesday, I've summoned all my officers so that we go through the legislation that are there and see the gaps that we can make either amendment or come up with the fresh legislation. I'm happy that your chairman here is the chairman of Cusco. You know what happened with Cusco. But I'm grateful that he has also been selected. He's the chair of Cusco. And that is a big challenge for him because Cusco must come back the way it was. It lost a lot of billions, a lot of money. A lot of corporate billions were lost. But I know with his capacity and the fact that he runs a very efficient SACCO in the name of Police SACCO, he will be able to revive Cusco.
Moving forward, over 100 youths have participated in a mentorship program organized by Ananda Maga Mission in Kenya. The initiative is aimed at enabling students to get moral values and career guidance in life. Kenyans of Goodwill vowed to employ youths, while BIP's technical college director urged Form 4 leavers to enroll in tertiary training institutions to get hands-on skills for further future endeavors.
Wakati umekuwa hooked,
it came in my mind to organize the youth conference where we can call the stakeholders and who can give the job to the youth. And for that purpose, we had called today 2 companies and they have offered more than 20 jobs. So it is a great help for the youth, and also we organize the mentorship program, and also we will partner with the Ministry of Youth Affairs to make the aware.
Siku ya leo tulikuwa tumekuja kwa ajili ya vijana na kwa ajili ya kuwaeleza umuhimu wa kozi za mikono. Tumeweza kusajili na tumeweza kuongea na vijana wenye tunastahili, wenye tunajua watakuja kukua watu kwa nchi yetu wakipata kozi za mikono.
Tunataka tuone kama tunaweza pata kama 10 to 20 wale tunaweza fanya kazi nao. Kuna wale tumechukua kutoka sehemu mbalimbali hapa Nairobi, na kama kuna mmoja mmesikia anafanya pale Isili. At the end of the month anaenda nyumbani na kama 30 to 40,000 depending na vile ameuza.
Now, in a bid to foster relationship and cultural growth between China and Kenya, University of Nairobi Confucius Institute and Africa Star, which operates the Kenya's SGR, came together to celebrate the Chinese Mid-Autumn Festival. The event, held at Nairobi SGR offices, brought together Kenyan students speaking Chinese and Chinese companies to celebrate the festival, which is geared towards ensuring togetherness. Among the activities showcased at the festival included Chinese opera, Chinese songs and dances. Kenyans were encouraged to engage in activities that develops extensive relationships between the two countries, which could lead to expansive job opportunities, not only in Kenya, but also in China.
Event is for us to continue understanding, to strengthen that bond between the Chinese people and the Kenyan people. And we don't just celebrate this Mid-Autumn Festival alone. There are other festivals that we celebrate together, even our own Kenyan festivals that, for example, Christmas. They come, we prepare some food together, just like we've prepared the mooncakes together. We do that frequent so that we strengthen that bond between the Chinese and the Kenyans.
It's called a Mid-Autumn Moon Festival because the Chinese believe that when the moon is full, it's a symbol that people should come together. Like when the moon has taken its full glory, people should come together like on a round table to represent the moon and have unity.
For Chinese, we need to celebrate it. It's very important, because we come here to teach students Chinese, we also want students learn the culture for our Mid-Autumn culture.
Well, that will, rather, this was the story that we had for you at this particular moment in time. Thank you very much for making time to be with us. And as K24, which is your home of sports, will be, of course, bringing you Italian Serie A games this particular afternoon, as well as a game from the Spanish La Liga. Remember, the Azerbaijan Grand Prix will be starting in less than 35 minutes' time. Do have yourself a wonderful afternoon, and like always, God bless.
The 2663 competency-based curriculum system promises excellence on paper. But do the realities match the progressive subjects offered?
At 844 level, children were not nurtured, you know, they didn't have that confidence.
The biggest challenge:
Yo masomo kwanza ni expensive.
Resources and infrastructure.
We're going to work with members of parliament, as I have said, to deliver on the infrastructure required to ensure that our education is purposeful and it is ready for the 21st century.
Even more concerning, teachers still lack guidelines on how certain subjects should be taught.
These teachers are teaching what they never specialized in.
As we approach grade 10, are secondary schools equipped to offer the 3 pathways?
The teachers who are there are just struggling with, in fact, they have nothing.
Join us on K24 TV and Kameme TV.
I urge parents to embrace CBC.
Tunaona kwamba haitusaidii sana.
As we delve into the hits and misses of the CBC system.
Have you watched K24? We would love to hear from you. Send us your feedback on what you like and what you don't like and why. You can use any platform to reach us. We can be reached on Facebook, SMS, Twitter, and WhatsApp.
Usiachwe nyuma. Join us at the Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Register by visiting www.nairobimarathon.com and help us move Kenya forward. Standard Chartered Nairobi Marathon. Run. Embrace possibility.
Start your life here.
It's not enough for me. It's just not enough.
You don't know what they do to girls like you.
I think it's a benign affair. Cindy. That's her name.
Sorry, who is your father?
Dad had another family, another wife.
The following program is rated PG. Parental guidance is advised for younger viewers.
Today we dive into the vibrant world of broiler chicken farming, an industry that's growing at an impressive rate. Every day, more Kenyans are venturing into poultry farming, seeing its potential as a lucrative business. In fact, it's one of those never-ending ventures that continues to attract people from all walks of life. In this episode, we'll be focusing on one of the most critical aspects of poultry farming, which is proper preparation of your poultry house before moving your chicken in. It's a step you can't afford to overlook if you're serious about success. We'll also tackle some of the challenges farmers often face and explore ways to overcome them. Joining us is an expert from Kukuspa who farms over 50,000 chicken in different farms. He'll share his insights and valuable advice and could be a game changer for your poultry farming journey. Let's go to the farm. Thank you, pizza. Hello and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Kilimo na Biashara Show. Thank you so much for choosing us today. And this type of venture that we're going to explore today is growing day in, day out. I'm speaking about poultry farming. It has attracted so many people. And the question is, what's attracting this incredible growth in this agricultural venture? To answer that, we have to speak to our farmer today who is going to take us through broiler farming. So shall we? Let's go. Hello, Sasa. John, hi, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
So this is the Kukuspa.
Yes, indeed, this is the Kukuspa.
Tell me what's happening here. Where are the chicken?
We're just preparing for our placement. We've just gone through a clean down process, which has taken about 14 days. And now we want to prepare the coop for the newly incoming day-old chicks. They'll be here in about 4 days.
I like it that I found this house empty like this because I have so many questions, especially on biosafety, and I want to learn more about this structure.
This structure actually holds 15,000 birds. Each bird sits on 1 square foot, so it's actually 15,000 square foot. And it is east-west oriented.
So what do you mean when you say east-west?
When I mean east-west oriented, I'm simply saying then the sun starts from the east and goes through all the way to the west without penetrating or getting into inside the house. So the sun will just shine on the mabatis above without any sunlight getting inside.
So is it a problem when these chicken are exposed to sunlight?
Yes, it is, because birds do not occupy the necessary floor space. Number 2, they can get sunburns. And number 3, they get really stressed because they have to move from one side to the other. But most importantly, when you have feed on one side of the house where the sun is, actually getting in, it warms up the food. It warms up the water. So again, the efficacy of the food is degraded, and the water is warmed up more than necessary. So you find that the birds do not want to eat or drink from that side of the coop. That's why it must be east-west oriented.
Wow, that's quite interesting. But what are other things that people should know about a chicken coop?
Well, east-west is one of the greatest parameters. Ventilation is also key. You can see it's 6 foot ventilation, and on both sides. That means wind must be able, or air must be able to flow through one side and get through the other side. The width of the house must not exceed about 12 meters. This house is 12 meters. Otherwise, you'll get some stale air inside the house. And wind must not be blocked. You can see our fence is really low, so that the wind from the other side can actually easily come into the coop and exit. The walling is only about 2 mortars, 2 stones, simply because that just keeps away the cold from the birds. But ventilation is very, very important, because birds need a lot of air as they grow.
John, I know I've delved into the business of the day very fast, but now allow me to take you back just a little bit. I would like to know your story. Where did this journey begin?
My journey began somewhere in 2010, 2011, if I can remember. And I got interested with raising chicken when I went to a sister of mine who had just started, and she introduced me to the business. And since then, I've just been growing the numbers. And for me, I think birds are my passion. This is my life.
So how many birds did you begin with?
I started with 250 birds in a small coop. And here I am.
Whoa. And how has that journey been? Because starting from 250 to close to what, 50,000?
What happened when I started off, to be honest, I wasn't any knowledgeable about raising birds. And like any other farmer, I kept birds because I wanted to be in the business, but I didn't know how to do it. But over a period of time, I gathered so much interest in self-education and visiting other farms, learning from seminars, saying things on YouTube and any other place where you can access information, or even the internet. And that's how I started gaining knowledge in raising the birds.
And how was the capital, especially at the initial stages? How was it?
I think whether you're doing 250 or whether you're doing 10,000 or 50,000 birds, capital is one of the greatest parameter that you need. Because in this journey, once a while, you will have those turbulences where your capital shrinks and then you start building it again and then shrinks, just like any other business. And I think it's not much about the capital, it's about the interest that you have in the business.
So we'll still speak about the money factor later on, but now there's sawdust here. What is it meant for?
Actually, this is called wood shavings, not sawdust. Sawdust nil and dogo. This is wood shavings. It's about 1 centimeter in terms of width, as you can see. Sawdust is really tiny. This has just come in this morning from Nakuru. And the reason I'm inspecting it is because I want to see the quality that I have been delivered. This is what the birds will sleep on, sit on, walk on.
So what are the qualities?
Quality, number 1, it must be really dry. Number 2, it must not have any odor or smell. The other thing, it must not have any foreign objects like stones, dust, timber,
Another thing that I've noticed when I was coming in here, I saw you have so many cylinders right there. In a typical farm, I know I would have found something like a jiko. So why use the cylinders as opposed to jikos or any other method?
Well, the cylinders there you see are actually gas cylinders. When the birds come in, we do a bit of heating. The first 18 days, we provide heat to the birds. And we do it through using gas heaters or brooders. The reason why we use gas brooders instead of makaa is because they are very efficient, they are carbon free, and they do not displace the birds in terms of the floor space. It's easy to regulate. Once you just hang your gas heaters on the lines and you set the necessary temperatures that you need, like the first 5 days we'll just set the temperatures at 32 degrees and that's it.
Now that you've talked about mortality rate, how do you ensure that you have low mortality rates as you increase production as well?
The best way to do is number one, to have a good pre-placement procedure. That means what you do before the birds come is actually more important than what you're doing when the birds are there.
So what do? You
prepare the house well. Make sure the house has enough rest. This house is like an engine. If it does not rest, then it won't perform. Number two, have proper equipment for every stage of the bird, the growth. Number three, have enough wood shavings to cover the entire floor space so that birds do not get into contact with cement or any other thing. Number four, have trained staff and good management practices. So that way you will be able to lower your mortality because you've actually introduced a bird to a new environment. It was in the hatchery, that's a different environment. It came through transport, that's a different environment where there is stress. And now again, you've placed it in a farm. If it does not get good management practices in the farm, then definitely you're going to end up with a high mortality.
And now let's talk about biosafety measures in Kuku Spa. Tell us about it.
Once you are out of here, no other visitor is allowed up to the birds are 21 days. Because we say visitors, be it people, be it birds, those are what introduces diseases to the farm. So we try as much as possible to keep away visitors, to keep away wild birds from the farm and from the chicken coop. Number two, we have good sanitation and cleaning procedures of the farm, such that everywhere you walk in the farm is actually cemented and it is cleaned and washed daily. Number three, we have foot dips in every house and as you get into the farm, meaning before you get into contact with the chicken, you've actually passed through certain procedures where we are trying to eliminate or reduce the risk of disease, introduction of diseases.
And now I'm excited to go check on the chicken, shall we? Let's go. This is really clean.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, I'm sure by now you've learned so much about the chicken coop. What is needed? Look, we had the dried, clean shavings. Did you know how important that is for production of chicken? Well, and we still have a lot more in the next session. We're just taking a short commercial break. Don't go too far. We're still on broiler farming. See you on the other side.
Catch every thrilling moment of the English Premier League. the German FA Cup.
Harry Kane! Harry Kane scores! How many times have you heard that?
La Liga. Serie A.
Marcus Thuram! What a start to life in the Milan derby!
And all Manchester City games.
He goes and stones and high!
Live on K24. This season, K24 is your playground for champions. Don't miss out. Tune in and watch the best football from around the world on Maskani ya Machampe live on K24. Game ni 90, lakini ball ni 24/7 hapa K24.
Back to Kilimo na Biashara Show. Thank you so much for staying with us until this very moment. And well, if you're just joining us now, today we're focusing on poultry farming, and not just poultry farming. We're speaking about broiler farming, and the number of broiler farmers in the country has drastically been going up. And why is that? So, all the reasons for that are going to be answered by our farmer today, John. So let's go talk more about poultry farming with John, shall we? Let's go. So John, this is now the second session. And how old are these chickens?
This chicken are 22 days today.
So 22 days, and that means what? Does it mean that the feeding has increased?
That means they've finished the first 21 days of development stage. Now they're on their final stage. We'll have them for the next probably 2 weeks before we'll sell them off. Yeah.
So at this stage, what normally happens?
Now, since this is the final stage, yes, feeding has increased. We are guided by a feed chart. We're doing about 110 grams today. So we are looking at body weights of about 1 kilo or 1.05, 1.1 today. And we want to harvest or kill these birds when they're about 1.9 or 2 kg on 35 days. So yes, the feeding will continuously go up every day. We'll be feeding 5 grams every day on top of what we fed. And the water intake will also be going up. The ventilation will be increased. As you can see now, the curtains have started coming down. And around 26 days, all the curtains will have come down because the bird needs a lot of air in here.
Yeah, as they grow.
As they grow, yes.
And since you've talked about feeding, take us through the feeding regime, especially for someone who intends to join this market. Take us through, what are the stages? What should this chicken feed on? At what stage?
Good. Now we have two kinds of feed phases in the country. We've got a 2-phase diet and a 3-phase diet. Now I'll just talk about the 2-phase diet because that's what's most commonly used. That means from day one, from the time the birds come, till around 18 to 21 days, we feed them on starter crumbs. And they will consume about 1 kilo of starter crumbs. And then from 21 days, from 18 days to maturity, that's 35 days,